Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is down 0.4% on the S&P. I think Nasdaq is down a little more than 1% today. But it looked like the market was gonna close green on the fifth day here, or fifth hour. It looks like that's where it closed yesterday. We slightly gapped up on the first hour. Continued on the second hour, third hour drifted a little bit, fourth hour continued to lower. On the fifth hour, market attempt to rally higher. Not only that, market attempt to break above this prior resistance of 342, as you can see here, and that upper wick through that shooting star candle. And then on the last hour today, on the 6th hour, you can see that we did see on the 5th hour or 6th hour, you can see that that long bearish candle there. It did close below my midterm moving average. So now things are gonna get a little bit hectic here. So we've been talking about last couple of days that we want to see the price start to surf it up above my midterm moving average. We talked about my midterm moving average is crossing or is curling down, and then it started to flatten out right here. And what we wanted to see is that moving average start, curling back up, and we see price using it as support to prop itself up to cultivate higher lows. Well, we gotten below it, and with that move today, the last hour move, we did have that micro term support. This was a micro term support, and there was some battle going on. I was watching actually towards the last hour today, and I remember at one point it was looking like this, gotten back up, there's a lower wick, and it was trading above that. So basically there's a battle going on just right on this midterm moving average. You see how yesterday we closed right above my midterm moving average, and so today at one point it looked very similar to this candle where we saw long lower wick and then an upper body like this. That's what it looked like, and it was going back and forth throughout the last hour. And then finally in the last 10 minutes or so of the trading session today, that level finally broke, and we did see price breaking below my midterm moving average and the micro term support, and we did see resistance right on this pivot also. So what does this all mean, right? So there are a few things we can get out of this. I'm gonna kind of break it down into kind of a short-term sentiment and the midterm sentiment. The midterm, like a little bit longer term, right? Midterm, we're talking maybe a couple weeks or so, and then short term, we're talking about maybe remainder of this week and maybe early couple days of next week. In the midterm of things, I feel like it's not too bad cultivating equal highs because we still have this gap right here. Potentially that could act as support. So technically, this isn't a lower high. This is actually equal highs here. Well, obviously, for this to become a lower high, this price needs to get below this gap, break below that gap, and then there's another gap here, right? You see this gap from here? That gap's still open. And we talked about that last week and over the weekend. This is a reason why we're up here at 340. Right? When the price came all the way back down to 330, was nice to fill this gap. We saw a big bounce, and that's where I got into 340, pulling back right now. So for now, we kind of have to look at this as an equal high here, right? Not lower high. This would have been a lower high, right? So that's high, lower high, and lower high. Because we cultivated this right here, now we gotta look at this kind of a equal high. Equal high actually it has more of a bullish connotation, right? So if the buyers want to see this market going back up, breaking above 342 and potentially getting up to 345 and 350s and things, obviously we need to break above this resistance. It's still possibility. That's what I'm trying to say, because we have the equal high and we have this gap. So buyers need to sustain this gap. At least if the gap gets filled, potentially we have the long-term moving average residing in that vicinity. Maybe it's going to act as support and we bounce. Some of you may be thinking, if this thing starts to come down tomorrow, might thinking that this is a left shoulder, the head, potentially right shoulder. That could be. But that needs to be confirmed by breaking up. And if we do see that kind of formation, 342 definitely is going to be that neckline. Definitely, that's going to be the neckline of that possible invert head and shoulder. So for now, as of this day, as of now, with the data that is at hand, I have to say we might be potentially forming for something like that, some kind of a potential invert head and shoulders. Right? And that's what buyers want to see, right? It will be better for the buyers if this gap remains open, because that's a pretty decent sized gap. We still have kind of the buying pressure coming off of that. There was a reason why it wasn't quick. Like, it was literally, there was a battle going on for the entire last hour. And at one point, it looked like bulls can maybe close it back up. Obviously, it would have been better if bulls were able to close it above my midterm moving average with the long lower wick, like right here. That could potentially get to see the price continuing to the upside tomorrow and possibly Friday. But now that we've broken below it, that's going to make things a little bit hectic in the micro term. But I think the next level of support will be 337. My long-term moving average there. And so 337, 335, all this level is going to act as support. So that's a good sign for the buyers. Again, to say that one more time, that the equal highs is also better than lower high. For bearish side, it's I think the best bet to really, if you really want to see this thing coming down pretty hard, you probably want to see a gap down below this gap here. So you want to see a gap down below 334 or some kind of huge sell-off, and you want to neutralize this equal high, right? Well, you want to see this in coming down, making lower low. Okay, we got the low. We got the lower low. This thing needs to come all the way down to 330. Fill this gap. That's probably when it's going to act as support. Then you can say that that's a lower low. And then if this thing bounces and then maybe hit that long-term moving average and then start coming down, then we can say that that's a lower high. This is a lower high. This is a lower high. You see? We're not there yet, though. We're not there yet. So bears still got a lot of work needs to be done before we start changing this market sentiment into more of a bearish sentiment. So before I let you guys go, we're going to look at the oscillator. But so as of today, as of now, I want to give it still short-term bearish. I'm going to still give short-term bearish, definitely with today's price action here below my midterm and short-term moving average. Short-term bearish. Midterm, I'm gonna kind of stick with the neutral for now. Let's stick with the midterm neutral. So bearish short term, neutral midterm, obviously long term bullish, right? Let's look at that oscillator. So that oscillator telling us that we do see that bearish momentum here. We are seeing that cross down. We're not seeing anything here that suggests it is slowing down by any means. We're kind of curling down pretty heavily here. We're not seeing any kind of jittery action or anything like that, right? You don't see any kind of little like wrinkly action, right? It's pretty smooth. For you know what I mean, like waterfall kind of move for now. Looks kind of similar to something like this possibly. So there's some kind of momentum here for the bears to work with. So next task for the sellers is that they want to come down and fill this gap. You leave this gap open, and we're talking about bears right now. You leave this gap open, and you let buyers hang around above it. Buyers gonna bring it back up. So this gap is the key going into remainder of this week. If you're a bear here, if you're a seller here, you want to see at least filling this gap. The problem with just getting filled is because once it gets filled, you're going to find a support. But it's better than leaving it open. Obviously, again, the best bet will be just gapping it down, turn this one an island top. If you do that, probably you can get to 325 or something like that. So we got a little bit of, like, you know what I mean, on both sides, right? We got a little bit of bearish move here today, but we still got overall bullish type of posture in the midterm, with a little bit of hecticness that might come for the buyers in the short term. I'll come back for you guys tomorrow night. We'll reassess the situation. We'll know more. Market will give us more information. We'll go from there. You guys enjoy your evening and good luck trading tomorrow.